Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It just says like the license for students expired. And then I just pushed it next.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do I need
It's not, could you just so basically I'll explain a lot about like how to debug things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
We do
just
it.
looking at yeah.
Okay.
Section this will be helpful. Sorry about that.
That's fine. It's not your fault.
Yep. Let's start. So basically, I apologize for the change of space. I reserved the second floor lab, but Caitlin was not there when I got to the SSCC, and there was no mobile lab, and then I basically panicked, and then somehow got the third floor lab right here. So. Yeah, sorry about that. So also we're before starting the state session, I would like to follow up with some of the survey items that we discussed in the last section. So if you may remember, there's a question about if there are how much you support transgender individuals using facilities or share the facilities with you, and then there was a response category of strongly support, indifferent, oppose, and strongly oppose, and then for those who are comfortable with using or sharing bathrooms with transgender individuals, they might either say indifferent or strongly support, right? So it can be two different. Like being perfectly comfortable with sharing facilities with transgender individuals will be can lead to two different responses, right? So in this case, I would change the indirect category to mixed feelings, so it can be it can better reflect people's opinions in terms of the response categories. And then for the parents' socioeconomic status question, so for college students, it's less of a problem, I would say that. But for the population outside college students, it can be a little still like jargon to some people. So if you're targeting the college population, if you're making a good case of like socioeconomic status is not causing a problem with understanding of the terminology and stuff like that to college students while doing pretest or short pretest or something like that. If you're making a good case of like socioeconomic status is not too jargony or something, so if that's the case, I would be fine with that. Lastly, with the where did you grow up in Wisconsin question? So it can be So I talked with Professor Oliver about that, more about that actually. So Professor Oliver thought that it's not maybe too much of a problem because the medicine students don't have a lot of like experiences of moving outside of the state. From what I heard, I don't know. That's her experience with the state. Okay. So just simply asking, did you grow up in Wisconsin? That's actually quite useful for Professor Oliver, but not so much, maybe not so much for the general population. So what I recommend is basically so that's the lesson here is basically know your population, think about your population, and then think in terms of like how your population would react or sample would react to the question. So if you are making a good case of there's not much of confusion with this question, then as long as you're making a good case, I'll be fine. But I would like to note that a more confusing question will be where you're from, basically. So where you're from can be a little more confusing. Did you grow up in Wisconsin? But as long, what I'm trying to say here is that as long as you're making a good case of like this question is good enough or not confusing enough, I'll be fine with that. And then a short pretest of testing this question and stuff like that with regard to possible issues, and that can be very helpful with design survey questions. All right. Any questions? Okay. No. All right. Good. Let's move on to Stata. So I'm assuming that you guys all have data or view file download and stuff like that. And then if you don't have a laptop with you, I apologize for that, but there wasn't a mobile lab in SSCC, so you're gonna have to just take a look at the screen and then figure out what's going on. If you cannot see that screen back there, I definitely recommend you go to the phone. Maybe. Yeah. Oh, actually, I'm recording the section,
here?
so sorry about that.
Let's take that.
Good. All right, let's start the data session. So far, we have covered A4. And then we are moving on to A5, or cleaning the variables. All right. So let's start with typing exit command right above A5 and click on the execute button. And that'll give you the data sheet we have looked at the end of this last section. Okay. Any problems with that? Yeah.
I didn't even know that was good state. My license expired, so I haven't been on. Like, cool. Even though you have the same license. Oh, mine says that too. Yeah, when I downloaded it last week, it was this is what it's like. Yeah, but then you like keep clicking on it and nothing happens. Or at least on my computer, nothing is happening. I'm not sure to say that. Well, it's not even like and then I tried to download it from like the site, and it was like, you can't do this. And I'm like, I did it before, like 1 minute now. So I wonder if they changed the like serial number or something else in terms of registration. But I remember seeing last week, like, your like license will expire on like October 23rd. And I'm like, so I can have it for a week. Like, so that's how it's all your stuff. No, because like if that happens, something else in this project.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
I would not be about. I would. Yeah. I don't know. I like don't have time to like go in and sit somewhere for an hour and like have them do something.
So to catch up with all the evaluation.
Zero. Yeah.
So
But going it's not that. Well, we got an email. Wait, where like, I like tried to get rid of. Yeah, she, Master Oliver, like, if you're an announcement or like a message or something. Or maybe it was direct, I can't remember. Oh, message? Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. So version 2. Yeah. Yeah. No, no.
It's just.
Yeah.
I haven't like done any readings because I haven't been reading last night. I was like, screw this. Yeah. No. Okay. Oh, I do. I know. But I have a friend coming this weekend, so like I'm gonna have to sit and actually get anything like productive. I would like to get it done. That's really yeah. But it's like yeah. Oh my god.
Oh.
Here I have like the information for sleep. She oh I found it okay. Now it's like it's me to registered staff. Is it letting you register? Like you're registered?
Like with these
But now it's like a different.
data set with the after you clean some of it
Okay.
from the process that you usually
No, that's okay. I just.
oh go to the process site.
Oh.
Yeah. Make your blue genre folder. Yeah.
So you said the same. Okay.
Oh, does it say? So sorry. If there's like a register or issues going on with your laptop, then SSCC must have not renewed the license. So if that's happening to you, you can just take a look at the screen for the section, and then I'll let SSCC know that they should renew this data register license. Sorry about that.
Will they know like everything we have to do if we go to there?
Oh, what?
Like how that girl's going to go to those office hours or whatever. Will they know what's going to be?
Oh,
Like
Yeah.
That's cut off. They will.
yeah, they will know what's going on with the new file, but you can just talk to them in my office hours. Like there's like confusing things going on, stuff like that. So yeah, let's jump right in. So for A5, it's about cleaning categorical variables. The first one is number of prior ethnic studies classes. So as you can see from the code book, there is a question of have you already met the ethnic studies requirement? No, 1, yes, 1 prior ethnic studies course, 2, yes, 2 plus, 3, don't know, 4. And then if you click on the data browser button, there will be srec variable, which means number of prior ethnic studies classes. Right? Does it make sense?
Why didn't they code the no for 0?
So that's what we're trying to, yeah, we're doing that
Oh.
in like a few months. Yeah. So basically you can tell Qualtrics to code the no to 0. But in this situation, it is the values are automatically generated, and then you're trying to recode that to 0. So as you can see, srec is colored as maroon, which means that it's a string variable. It's not recognized as numbers at this point. Good. So this is not helpful for the analyses. So you're trying to make Stata recognize this variable as a numeric variable. How you do that is to type dstring, the variable name, comma, replace course. Okay. So you are saying that you should you are telling Stata that you should dstring this srec variable and replace the old variable, old variable that is recognized as string variable with a new variable that is with the same name, but filled with numeric values. Does it make sense? Am I making any sense? Yep. If you type exit command right below the dstring command and then execute it, and you can see the colors are now black. The values are colored as black now, which means that it is now recognized as a numeric variable by Stata. And if you want to replace the values, so it's now 1, 2, 3, right? And this is actually no. 1 is actually no, according to the code book, right? And if you want to change that to 0, and then 2 to 1, 3 to 2. Because that only makes sense, right? Because it's no, just 1 prior ethnic study class and then more than 2 or more ethnic studies classes, right? So you want to change the values to make it more sense. Does that make sense, or you might no? So this is actually no, right? This person has not taken any prior ethnic studies classes, and then just one class. If this is just 2+ classes, 2 or more classes, and then you are changing the value to 0 because this person has 0 classes. And then this person has 1 class, so you want to change it to 1 and 2. Yeah.
What would you recommend coding like I don't know and others too?
Oh, yeah. So there should be others and don't know. If all of these variables values will be coded as missings. So yeah, missing value. And then the missing value is actually dot in Stata. Just dot. Okay. That ends with a sentence. Let's place right right at the end of the sentence, not just dot in the middle.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. Good. All right. So how you do it is to type replace command in the variable name and enters srec -1. Good. So basically what you're doing is to replace the variable, right? Replace the old variable with the new values. That is srec -1. So 1 minus 1 is 0. So you are entering that as the replacement of that value. Does it make sense? So all the ones will be changed to zeros after you type that command or execute that command. Good. And then 2's will be 1 and 3's will be 2 after this command. Good? No? Good. All right. And then so for example, the data has 1, 3, 1, 2, and et cetera, et cetera. And then if you type, if you execute all the lines until the exit command, then you can see it's now 0, 2, 0, 1. Right? It used to be 1, 3, 1, 2, right? And then it's now 0, 2, 0, 1. Good. Because of the replacement, replace command. And then what you want to do is to label the values, right? So just 0, 2, 0, 1 does not make sense at all because there's no value labels, right? You have to revisit the code book to figure out what's going on all the time, right? So to avoid that problem, you want to label the values. Does it make sense? Like what 0 means, what 1 means, and what 2 means. Good? So what you do is to type label define. You're defining the label first. And then name the labeling system as srec. So this is the name of the labeling system. All right? And then type 0, none, 1, 1, 2, 2, plus. So that way 0 is labeled as none, 1 is labeled as 1, 2 is labeled. Okay. And then you are applying that labeling system to the variable of s, right? By typing label values as rec, as rec. So you're basically saying, I want to label the values of the s rec variable with the labeling system of s rec. Good. Any questions with that, or can you guys see that? All of that right here. All right. Let's move on to race. Or before going over that, let's see what happens. And you can see the results. And so 0 right here is labeled as none, and 2 is labeled as 2 plus it, etc. And it's now colored as blue because it's all labeled. And then Stata recognizes it as a numeric variable. Good. And let's move on to race. You want to check the browser, how the data look first before doing anything. So as you can see, there are some commas, right? That's because there are multiple choice options. So the question 5 is about race questions, right? But the thing is, it enables multiple choices. So that way, for those who identify as both white and African American, then they would choose 1 and 2, right? So this person would be coded as 1, would appear as 1, 2 in the data set when you export the filters. Okay. So there is a comma in the variable. So it means that you cannot string the variable because it's not, comma is not a number. You know? So what you want to do is to, first of all, you want to check the frequency of the race variable. Type exit command all the way to here. Yep. So 1 means white American, and 1, 2 is both white and black or African American, and then etc. And you might notice that there are a lot of 4s because this means Asian, and then the course is cross-listed with Asian American Studies. There were a lot of Asian students in the class or in the sample. Good. So what I decided to, or Professor Oliver decided to do, is to collapse the racial categories to white, Asian, and others, considering the distribution of the race variable. All right, good. So 1, 2, 1, 5, 1, 6 are all coded as others because they are mixed race, right? So what you want to do is first to generate the variable named race, and then fill the variable with all 3s, race variable and all 3s. All right, good. you see that? I don't know. Yeah, that's better. Good. And then replace the variable value if race census, the original variable, is 1. So if race census, the original variable is coded as 1 as the string, then you are replacing the value of the race variable to 1. Good. Any questions? No? All right. And then if race census is 4, you are changing the value of race variable to 2. Good. Right? And every other person will be coded as 3 or other. So as we covered the previous variable, you should define the labeling system and apply the labeling system to the values, right? So label define race, 1 white, 2 Asian, 3 other, and then apply the labeling system to the variable of race. All right. Any questions? Nope. All right. I think parental integration status is pretty straightforward to clean if you understood the previous procedure. So I'll skip that. And let's move on to gender. So there is a gender question. Male, female, or other. As you can see from the data set, there's no other in the same. So there's no person who chose other as their gender. You can also see confirm that with this command, cat gender. That'll give you the frequency table of the gender here. 1 is male and 2 is female, and there's no other, right? So as you can see, there are only 2 types of responses in the sample. So if that's the case, you want to make the variable more straightforward. For example, gender is 1212, and by looking at that, it's less straightforward in terms of what it's doing, right? So you want to make a new variable named male and change the fill the values with 1010. So that way, 0 denotes women and 1 denotes men. Good. So how you do so is to type gen male gender so this part you are familiar with, right? You generate a new variable named male and fill the variable with something. Good. But this part is the something. It actually means that if yes or gender variables values variable is gender variable's value is 1 right here, then you would enter 1 as a value. Good. If no, you would enter a value of 0. Good. Any questions? Nope. All right. I'll skip year in school and University of Madison as well, because they are pretty straightforward once you know all of that procedure. And let's move on to A6, cleaning scale-related items, right? So basically, the question is asking your support about liberal protest movements, right? And then for scale-related items, I definitely prefer to have that kind of design for your item, scale-related items. If the response categories are too young, there's a strong reason not to have the same response categories for all of the items. Okay.
A matrix.
Yeah, the matrix. Yeah. So I strongly recommend that you have that matrix design for scale-related items. But if there's a reason not to, it's fine. But yeah, that's what I prefer. It's an efficient way of using space, actually. So the question 8 is about what are your opinions about these recent protest movements, Black Lives Matter, etc., etc. And the very favorable is coded as 1, and very unfavorable is coded as 5, which is not the most straightforward way of coding response categories, right? I would code very favorable as 5 and very unfavorable as 1, right? So so it's more straightforward to measure support for liberal protest movements. So the thing is, it's now done, and the surveys are all out and stuff like that. So the data are in, anyways. So what you want to do is to recode all of the responses to shake things up, and then switch the response categories. So it means that protest movement, Black Lives Matter, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It should be now coded to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that way, 5 or very unfavorable is now coded as 1, and very favorable is now coded as 5. You are recoding the values. Good? See what I'm saying? See what I want to try to do? Okay. So what you want to do is first destring the variable. Destring PM Black Lives Matter, comma, replace force. And then before doing that, let's execute the command. And then you will see Black Lives Matter are Black Lives Matter variable is now coded as or recognized as a numeric variable. And then what you want to do is to replace PM Black Lives Matter equals 6 minus PM Black Lives Matter. All right. So 6 minus PM Black Lives Matter. If the variable's value is 1, then it'll be changed to 5. And this is if this is 2, then it'll be changed to 4. 3 to 3, 4 to 2, 5 to 1. Good. Does that make sense? Any questions with that? Confusing? Straightforward? Sort of? Okay. So you are subtracting the value from 6 and then enter that in the place of the old value. So 1 will be replaced with 5. 2 will be replaced with 4. Good. And you are doing the same thing for all of the variables and define the label system with name favor. And then 5 is now very favorable, 4 is somewhat favorable, and then 3, 2, 1. Good. And then apply the labeling system to the variables, which is done by typing label variables PM underscore asterisk. Asterisk means whatever in data or in computer program, computer science section. Right? So every variable starts with the PM underscore. There are all of these variables are so we are applying this labeling system of favor to all of the variables that start with PM underscore. Okay? Which means all of the items. Okay. Any questions? No? Good. So did you find it confusing or straightforward or
I'm scared.
you're scared?
Yeah, to do this.
Oh, okay. But yeah. So what I recommend is actually if you so you have some time to actually work on the do file and stuff like that. But if you want to get a head start, and especially when you're feeling confused or something like that, or scared or something like that, then I would actually enter like practice responses, and then try to clean the variables. Basically. Write the do file for cleaning the variables. Basically. So that way you know what you're confused about and stuff like that. So so if you wanna get a head start and stuff like that, that's one way to go actually. Yeah. Good. Any questions? Nope. All right. So here are the review sheets, our review slides for game 1 that I'm a bit to go over, but so I figured there won't be too much time to go over that anyway, so I'm just gonna distribute the slides so you can take a look at them. And there's a template sheet, so you can make sure to sign the template sheet before you go. And good luck with the exam tomorrow or
When is that close again?
Monday.
Can I ask you a few questions about my survey questions?
Sorry. Stream first.